Hey, good afternoon, everybody. My name is Jeremy Snyder. I am the CEO of BTM Compliance, and I've been asked to step in today and host this awesome webinar for ChainBytes. Today, we have both Justin Gilmore and Keith Smith with us. We'll be talking about how to start a Bitcoin ATM business. So what I'd like to go ahead and just start with is just some general introductions. Justin?
Yes, my name's Justin Gilmore. I actually have my Bitcoin ATMs with ChainBytes, the manufacturing software. I've been in the traditional ATM business for 16 years. I started ATMmachines.com in 2006. We're on the first page of Google. I own over 600 ATMs. I process another 2,000 plus. So our portfolio is 2,600 machines deep. And this just seemed like the natural next step. You know, the future is crypto, and working with ChainBytes has just been an incredibly great experience.
Awesome. Glad to have you with us today.
Yes, sir.
And Keith Smith from ChainBytes.
Yes, I'm the Director of Sales and Business Development. I've been working in business for 20 some years. I've been in the Bitcoin ATM business for the past couple of years. So, I can answer all your questions relating to the Bitcoin ATM business. I can guide you in the right direction and help you build a Bitcoin ATM business.
Awesome. All right, Justin, let's just get down into the nitty gritty here. So you want to kind of take us through how you initially got started in the industry with Bitcoin ATMs and with traditional ATMs?
Yeah, so with traditional ATMs, I mean, once I learned that the banks didn't own the ATMs and you could make money, I actually was 38 years old now. One of my first locations was a bar. And I approached the owner of the bar, and I've still got the ATM. It's in downtown Atlanta, and pitched him. He told me to come back the next day. 16 years later, I still have 2 ATMs in there. So it makes a lot of money. I think I was making about $10,000 a year just off that first location. So that was mind blowing to me. And then I just know that the future of this industry is crypto. So I started reaching out to other companies, General Bytes, and didn't have the best experience. And I actually linked up with Keith about February of last year. That's how long I've been in this business. So just over a year now. And I mean, he just held my hand and made it the easiest as it could possibly be to set up and get started, because we were going for a national reach. We wanted state licenses across the country, no action letters, the compliance policy. And he was instrumental in getting us set up. So that's just kind of how we transitioned into it.
That's fantastic. So
and the profit margins. I mean, ATMs, they make good money, but these things, I mean, they have the potential to just.
Yeah, fantastic. So kind of talk to us a little bit about that. What was the transition like going from that traditional industry into the Bitcoin ATM industry?
So the transition, I mean, it wasn't even a pivot. It was more like just bringing in a new product that already fits our business model, because we own ATMs across the country. We sell and process them, and doing the same thing with the Bitcoin ATMs just was a natural next step. We can target our existing customer base. The market, for ATMs has been 25 years. So it's been a race to the bottom with this new industry that just lacks competition and saturation that traditional ATMs do. But it was just an easy piece of the puzzle to just plug right in.
Okay. Were there any immediate things that kind of come to mind as far as things that you wish you would have done initially when you were starting? Yes.
Working with proper attorneys when securing state licenses, no action letters, things like that. You don't really know what you're walking into until you start. And, I wish I had a little more insight on that, but we got it worked through.
Absolutely. Definitely would recommend having a good crypto attorney to assist.
Yeah. I've got one I can recommend too, if anybody wants it.
Keith, how hard is it, as far as onboarding into the industry, would you say, from your perspective, some of the advice that you were able to provide Justin?
It takes time. It does take time. Most people think that you can just, get a Bitcoin ATM and tomorrow plug it in, and the next day you're retired. That's not how it works. It takes time. It's a business. And this business isn't for everybody. It certainly isn't. So it's not a hobby. It's something that you have to focus on. You have to have a business plan. You have to have a game plan. Before you even start thinking about finding locations, you have to have the hardware in hand. You have to know how it works. You have to know the software. You have to have your compliance figured out. You have to have your banking figured out. And, all those things, a lot of people overlook that. And so what I try to do is give people guidance on the things that they got to look for as they get into this business. Now, you are going to run into hurdles. And that's why Bitcoin ATM operators charge what they do. Because if it was easy to do, they wouldn't have to charge hardly anything and they'd be making money. So it's not, there's a reason why they charge what they do. And it does take time. It can be done quickly if you set the processes in place to get yourself, and have goals in place that you want to accomplish. That way, everything kind of fits together as, like a clog in a gear, and becomes a well-oiled machine. Now, what Justin's done is he's already had, if you're in the traditional ATM business, you've got the ability, you've already got a lot of these cogs in place. Like he said, he didn't have to pivot because he's got the infrastructure in place. What he had to do was just change the product and service a little bit, and then add that to his existing model. And now it becomes a huge asset to his existing model, because now he goes in, he's got traditional ATMs, and he can say, hey, I can put a Bitcoin ATM in here too. And then people are pulling money out of his traditional ATM to put it in the Bitcoin ATM. He's getting fees on both ends. So, there's a lot to, think about. The best thing to do is, if you're contemplating becoming an operator like Justin is, reach out to us. I'm more than happy to explain to you the processes and whatnot. But a lot of people are not, so that they don't have these abilities, and it may be more difficult. And if it seems like it's over your head, then you really want to talk to Justin.
Yeah. So we have pretty much streamlined the process for BTM ownership. So ChainBytes offers the platform to help you get set up the same way that I did. But what we have done is set it up to where you can buy a Bitcoin ATM machine directly from us and then plug it in, just like he was saying that you can't do. But we've already got the registrations, licenses, compliance, armored carrier accounts, the Bitcoin that we sell through the machines, the institutional accounts where we hold our cash reserves. So we have everything already in place so that you can buy a Bitcoin ATM and then plug it into place and get started immediately. And with our business model, we keep a small piece of your revenue while you keep the majority for allowing that to happen. So this pretty much breaks down the barrier to entry on cost, working with attorneys, time. I mean, the time it took, I think one license took us 8 months to secure just to be able to operate in Georgia. And they said it's a 4 to 6 week turnaround. And, we were working with attorneys. So it kind of removes all of that to where it is a plug and play business model. But there is a little more, going back to what you asked earlier, other hurdles. This isn't the same as a traditional ATM business where you just put it in and you rely on the foot traffic. You do have to take into account marketing. So we look at every single Bitcoin ATM as its own business. So this is its own business, right? And you have to drive traffic to that business. And once we started doing that, we've had locations, go through over $100,000. Just in May, we had over 2 locations that were relatively new, because there is a pickup period, 3 to 6 months for these things to start hitting. And I think both of those were out there for 2 months or less that did over $100,000 in sales. And it comes down to marketing, which is also something that we bring to the table within our partnerships. I can show you all a little bit of what we do. So countertop units or countertop brochures. This says get free Bitcoin every Friday. We give away $5 of free Bitcoin every Friday. Plus, if a customer grabs this, they can get $8 of free Bitcoin while they are at the store. And it tells them the process as easy as 1, 2, 3. On the back, we have resources so that they can download a wallet immediately. They can go here and sign up to be on our SMS and email list for free Bitcoin every Friday. We have a little scan here, so it shows them a video on how to use the machine. Although these are the easiest machines to use. You walk up to it, it walks you right through it. But some people, if you think about the demographic, 30 and up, we just even simplify it even more. So that's one way to start building transactions and a customer base, because people are creatures of habits. You also want to work with Google AdWords. You have to have an MTL to run ads, but we can do that for you. And geofencing and things of that nature, direct mailers to drive traffic to the machine. You can send out direct mailers to the residents once you put a machine in saying, hey, there's a Bitcoin ATM, come in today and get $8 of free Bitcoin and $5 every Friday. So,
Awesome.
yeah.
So it literally takes care of all of the logistics that typically you'd be answering for a phone call or receiving customer service calls.
Correct.
Nice.
Yeah.
So Keith, can you take us or guide us through some of the steps of how to start a Bitcoin ATM business?
Well, you definitely want to put a little research in. You don't want to go into this flying blind. I would start with, if you're looking to start a Bitcoin ATM business, you'd want to reach out to us. One of our salespeople will explain to you everything you need to know about getting into this business. It's better to do a phone call. Don't go back and forth through emails. You will have questions after the fact, and there's no problem with doing emails. But usually, a phone call, that way all questions can be answered, and, you'll come back with more questions because there's always questions. I've never heard a stupid question asked because you just don't know what you're doing. And so, asking questions is a good thing. Let's say you're ready to get going and you choose ChainBytes as your hardware and software provider. At that point, you'd want to order the machines because the process can take 35 days until delivery. And as soon as that process gets started, we onboard you as a customer, and then we refer you to BTM Compliance. Jeremy's team, they take care of you for all your compliance needs. They handle your, on the federal level, they get you your compliance program. And that way, it's basically your owner's manual of how to stay compliant with the federal government. They also get you registered as an MSB with FinCEN. And they'll guide you through other, hoops through, that you have to go through, such as, trying to get a compliance program that banks will, accept. Not all banks. One of the biggest issues in this industry is banking. And I like to tell people that up front. And that's one of the reasons why Bitcoin ATM operators charge what they do, because if you could just take cash to the bank and get Bitcoin right away, that makes things easy. And so it's not easy. So knowing these processes and everything that you got to go through is really key. Typically, by the time your machine arrives, you've already got your compliance in place and you can, either while the machines are on their way or after they arrive, you can start finding locations. You don't want to be telling people, hey, I'd like to put a Bitcoin ATM in here right now because they're going to expect that Bitcoin ATM is going to be there by the end of the week. And I do know Bitcoin ATM operators that literally put a Bitcoin ATM in the back of their truck. They drive to a location and they say, hey, we'd like to put a Bitcoin ATM in your location. And they're like, okay, let's do it. Okay, we'll put it in right now. Yes. And they get that location right then and there, and there's very little negotiation on price because it's a spur of a moment decision. And so there's a lot of tricks of the trade that we learned through our operators. But this is it is a new business, so it's not like Justin was saying, this is it's uncharted territory. So there's things that we're still learning as things go on. But generally, once you got your machines, you got your compliance, obviously you're going to want to check to see what state regulations are. Most states go off the Texas guidance, which is, that Bitcoin ATMs are essentially vending machines. And so that means that you're doing peer-to-peer transactions between the Bitcoin ATM operator and their customers, whether they're buying or selling. They're doing all business with one Bitcoin hot wallet. Other states require MTLs and money licenses. So you do want to know, generally we have an idea of what states, require what, but you're going to want to, get it, like Justin said, get no action letters because you want to cover your rear end. And, and in such cases, some states are really hard. Like I get a lot of people that are interested in New York State, but New York is really difficult because it's got the BIT license. BIT license it makes it the most difficult place to operate a Bitcoin business in the United States. Essentially impossible. if you want to get started right away. But if you got enough money and you're like, hey, I want to throw, hundreds of thousands of dollars out there to get operating in New York, you can do it. Usually in that case, it's better to just set up operations elsewhere, build up enough revenue until you can afford to set up such an operation. But let's say you got a couple Bitcoin or you want to get a couple Bitcoin ATMs. You don't want to go through all this hassle. You want to get started right away, or you want to test the waters, because I get a lot of customers. They're like, I just want to get 2 Bitcoin ATMs. I just want to test it out. Well, why would you want to go through all these processes to get started when you can test it out with somebody like Justin? And, then you can get an idea of how the business starts. Now, you're not going to get a complete idea because you're not doing all the work that Justin's doing. Justin's doing a lot of work. He's doing the KYC. So he's collecting customer information. He's doing the licensing. He's providing the Bitcoin liquidity. Bitcoin's not cheap and you need Bitcoin. That's the fuel for your operation. And so that's what you have to, these are money generating machines, and just like an electrical generator, they need fuel to stay operational. You have to have a float through the banking system. So you have to have US dollars that are floating. It takes, Bitcoin's basically instant, with a transaction, but US dollars are not. So it can take days, so you kind of figure 4 days to move cash through the banking industry into your exchange account. You have to set up a commercial institutional account with exchanges. So then, you can secure the Bitcoin. You got to do, and the 2 most important parts. So that's not even the most important parts: marketing and customer service. Customer service. So you have to provide a good customer service experience. And like Justin said, each one of these ATMs is like a separate business. And what you're doing is you're marketing and you're providing customer service. Like, this is like almost kind of like if you go into a small bank branch and you get that personal experience through somebody, and you're not dealing with a machine. There's a human behind there. People like that, especially the demographic that uses Bitcoin ATMs. They like knowing that there's somebody behind there that they can get a hold of, and there's a human. Versus like a big bank experience where you go up and you get an automated message, you're put on hold for 2 hours, and you don't get your issue resolved. So customer service is it's arguably, through all my operators that tell me, that's the number 1 thing. Marketing's the second biggest thing. It's a close second. It's almost first, and that's because if people don't know your machine's there, they're not going to buy Bitcoin from it. Simple as that. They have to see it inside the store.
100%.
Yep. They have to see it inside the store. They have to know online where to find your Bitcoin ATMs. I was just talking to somebody, I believe it was yesterday, and he was saying, "Oh, Coin ATM Radar went to this location. There's not a Bitcoin ATM there." Well, that if somebody goes to a location, there's not a Bitcoin ATM there, they're not going to be very happy with your business. And he asked, should I report it? I'm like, well, if it's going to be your competition, you should let them stay there, because they're going to, make customers angry. And then they're going to call you and they're going to ask you, hey, is this Bitcoin ATM operational? Oh, yes, it is. Go ahead, go there. And now they know that, your machines are always listed correctly. So, there's a lot of different facets of this industry. Typically, like Justin said, first 3 months, dead slow. So don't expect to be seeing transactions. Sometimes all of a sudden it just pops off. I've had operators made, they had a $90,000, month in their second month, but that's not very typical. So don't expect that. The first 3 months, that's where the transactions have to build up. At 6 month mark, whether or not it's going to be a good location. Some locations take longer. I've seen operators say, hey, I was about to move it, a year in, and then all of a sudden just start taking off. And I think that has in part to do with marketing the location. So once people found out about that location, they used it. So there's a lot of different things. As for, the processes and everything, the number 1 thing you want to do is either talk to somebody from my team or Justin's team, because he's got different processes in place than we do. There's a lot more work involved in a Bitcoin ATM business if you want to be a Justin.
Yeah, let's talk through that. So obviously, Keith highlighted a lot of great things for you, Justin. So obviously, you're taking care of or passing along the benefits of you have established banking, you have established compliance, you have established marketing, and you also have customer service. So obviously, those four things, I would say that that's probably the pillar to having a great, successful business. But what are the processes of getting machines and getting started with you, and having that comfortability of knowing that all of that on the back end is being taken care of for you?
Yeah, so you got those four pillars, plus we have the armored carrier accounts for the cash pickups. We have the Bitcoin that is sold through the machines. This is a very, even though you do need crypto, it's a very cash intense business, because when the Bitcoin is sold at the machine, what I very much love about ChainBytes is they connect via API to your exchanges, to where you have cash reserves that refund that Bitcoin. As he said, it's like a fuel tank. You once used that analogy with me a year ago. Like you always want to keep your gas tank on full. So you have to have a lot of cash to replenish the Bitcoin at the time of sell. And then you have to have float, because now that cash is sitting in the Bitcoin ATMs until armored carrier comes and picks it up, wires it back to you, you wire it back to the exchange. So we have all of that in place. But the process with starting with us is a little different than traditional ATMs. With traditional ATMs, I tell people, find a location first and then buy the ATM, because it's usually about a 1 week turnaround for the ATM machine. These can take, 7 weeks, 5 to 7 weeks to get the Bitcoin ATMs in. So I would suggest buying the Bitcoin ATM first and then finding a location, so you don't have a customer upset 2 months later after you sign them up, which I learned firsthand actually getting into the business when we started last year. But I would start with buying the equipment, securing a place to put the machine, and then we handle all of that for you under our program. We handle the installation, we handle the armored carrier locks, we put those on, we handle the programming, and everything is automated. Unlike traditional ATMs where you have to go do cash replenishment and stuff like that, with us, you were given a dashboard where you can view your transactions. So whether you have a cell phone or a tablet or a laptop anywhere in the world, it's fully automated. I actually call it Bitcoin ATM automation. So you're going to buy a machine, secure a place to put your machine, and then we handle everything else. We handle the installation, the programming, the armored carrier locks, the cash replenishment, the Bitcoin that's sold, the compliance, every aspect of it. And then we plug you into our marketing. Now, you are required to pay for your own marketing, and this is very important. I mean, these machines have the potential to earn, up to $200,000 in a year. I mean, the margins are crazy, but you have to put work into that. So what we do is we meet you halfway. We give away the free Bitcoin that we advertise. So that does not come from you when you're under our program. So we have these countertop brochures where customers can get $8 of free Bitcoin right away. We provide these to you for free. We give away the $8 of Bitcoin, then they can sign up and get $5 of free Bitcoin every Friday, which is like an incentive to continue to show back up. And customers never just stop at $5. They can put more money in. But we also can run ads for you. You have to have an MTL, a money transmitter license in any state, and we have them with multiple states. So we can run Google My Business ads directly to your machine for you through our licenses, and you have to pay the ad spend. Direct mailers, we can put you in touch with a company that will target residents within an area. This is huge. You definitely want to do this. And you send direct mailers to the resident saying, hey, there's a Bitcoin ATM that was just installed. Come in today and get $8 of free Bitcoin, and then $5 every Friday. Once again, we pay for the Bitcoin that's given away. So we kind of meet you halfway on marketing, because your success is our success. With our program, we keep a small piece of the fee that's charged, and you get the rest. So we're just looking to expand our footprint as quick as possible while the industry is new. It's lacking the competition, it's lacking saturation. We're out here deploying machines as quick as we can, but we also want to partner and treat it the same way we do with our traditional ATM business, which is where we sell the machines and do the processing.
Awesome. So what is the typical timeline from the time someone gets their machine and has it placed with you guys?
So once the machine is delivered, we will have that installed within a week. But the timeline, it's been picking up. China, these do come out of China. They had some slow times to where I think we were like 3 months out. So right now, Keith can correct me. I think it's 5 to 7 week turnaround, but I'm not positive on that. So that's why I would suggest getting the equipment first with Bitcoin ATMs and then securing the location. And, you know, I give the opposite advice for ATMs, because we don't make money selling any of this equipment. We make money by partnering with you. Right. So, you know, being successful together, we look at it as a partnership.
Yeah, it takes about 4 weeks, and so like there's cost involved in running these businesses. So you know what Justin's company charges, what we charge. This is to stay in business. This is to run our business. This is to provide you guys with the service that you get. You know, there's competitors out there. They'll sell you the hardware, and now you're on your own. So now you've got nobody there helping you with business development. You got nobody there helping you with your software, your hardware, your cash logistics. You have no knowledge about what you're doing, and now you're out there in the world. You don't have compliance. Oh, now you're going to go to jail. So you know, like there's a lot of things, and so like you know. What ChainBytes is we're plug and play for Bitcoin ATM operator to start a Bitcoin ATM business. BTM Compliance, plug and play for a Bitcoin ATM operator to be compliant and get compliance. And BTMmachines.com is plug and play for anybody to get into the Bitcoin ATM business.
Yes. And a few things like ChainBytes, the reason I was pretty much researching every company out there, looking to who I wanted to get in bed with. And ChainBytes, not only do they have the best customer service, they were a smaller company at the time, but they very hands-on. Keith took the time to work with me, which was hours of phone calls, emails. He's talked to me on nights, weekends, you name it. They are able to, the owner, Eric, who can make it today, he once told me, if you dream it, we can make it happen, in terms of working with rewards programs. If you're going to close a massive franchise, like we were talking to some major petroleum chains that already have existing rewards programs. So a company like this, that as he was saying, customer service on your end for Bitcoin ATMs, I mean, they do embody that. That is why I went with them. A few things about us with these machines we have, which is a lot higher than most operators, $50,000 per day purchase limits. There is a lot of compliance that's involved, CTRs that get filed after $10,000, SARS reports, things of that nature. And these are also buy and sell machines. So if you go to Coin ATM Radar and you were to click Bitcoin and you were to click the sell option, you're going to see 90% of the equipment disappear. And for the generation, what I noticed is like the generation and the audience that we were targeting, 30 and up, even though most people don't sell their crypto, they want to know they can get it back. If you come in with $20,000 and you put it into a machine, you want to know, hey, I can come get 1,000, 2,000, some of this cash back if I need it. So that's a big advantage, because these are buy and sell machines, and the other machines are not buy and sell, even though they have the capabilities with other companies, because they don't have the recycler in them. So they would have to have a dispenser and do a cash load, which is another expense. So that's beautiful about these machines. And one more thing with working with us, we work with third-party locators. They will charge you $1,000 per location. You approve it, so you don't have to take what they bring. And that just helps us help you expand our footprint. So if you do work with us and it's like, hey, I need locations, where do I get them? We put you in touch with them. You tell them to target gas stations, you work out the price of rent you're going to end up paying with the location to be there, and all of those things. And that's something that we can help bring to the table, because like I said, we don't make money selling this equipment. We make money by processing your transactions for you. We keep a small portion of the fee, but it's a partnership at the end of the day. So your success is our success. We're going to plug you into our marketing. We're going to match you by giving away the Bitcoin. So you do have to pay for certain things like the ad spend, and let you know we're going to see that you're successful.
So I get asked a lot. I mean, I'm sure you guys take a lot of phone calls, as you both, obviously do, with customers and trying to explain the business. But one of the most often questions that I get asked is, what's the magic formula? What's the magic location? Like, how do you pick this perfect location? I just wanted to see if you would share a little bit about that. Just talk about your marketing and the location placement.
Yeah, so I learned a lot from Keith on this. So like you don't want to, you would think foot traffic, foot traffic, foot traffic, and that's true for traditional ATMs, but you wouldn't want to place one of these things in a mall. And this is what Keith told me early on, because you have a customer rolling up with 15,000 or 3,000 or $10,000 in cash or 30,000. They don't want to walk through a big parking lot into a super crowded business. So what you want to look for when you're targeting, I mean, gas stations are going to be best, petroleum spots, places that are well lit, that have long hours or that are 24 hours. A lot of other companies don't like smoke shops, but we do, and we've seen a lot of success there. But you want somewhere that is easily accessible, that has long open hours, that has people in there because you feel safe. You don't want to walk into a place that's dead empty, but you don't want to walk into a place that's like a festival and you're shoulder to shoulder and you got all this cash. So, you know, a lot of our demographic is 30 and up, and a lot of baby boomers to be honest. So you kind of got to put yourself in their shoes. So gas stations are great. I think 24-hour laundromats have a lot of potential. Smoke shops, long-houred coffee shops, just somewhere that is well lit and easily accessible and has long hours.
Yeah, convenient, something that somebody can make
Very
a habit
convenient.
out of going there.
Yes.
For example, like it, I use this example. I spoke to an operator. He had a location as the best place in town. It was a gas station, and so it was the busiest intersection. Had to be a good spot. And placed the ATM there. It just didn't take off, and he couldn't figure out what was wrong with it. So he moved it to another gas station, a couple blocks away, off that traffic light, at a 4-way stop sign. The speed limit was like 25 miles per hour. It started taking off right away. And what it turned out was that major intersection is where everybody that drives through the town drives by, versus the other gas stations where all the locals go. So you have to think about, like it's got to be a place that's easy to pull in, pull out, got ample parking, well lit. Versus, this other gas station, you go, it's 55 mile per hour. You got semis coming up on you and you feel like you're going to die when you pull in and out of it. So these are things that, you don't really think about until you actually, and there is kind of no magic formula. We're all learning as things go on. Sometimes, like Eric, he runs his own, the CEO of our company, he runs his own Bitcoin ATM business. He put Bitcoin ATM in a gun store, did really well. He was doing 6 figures in volume a month. And so he figures up, well, if this gun store does great, we'll put it in another gun store. And the other gun store just never took off. The difference between the two gun stores was the one was a big gun store where you can walk in, walk out, nobody asks you any questions, and lots of parking. The other one was a little one. And it was off the beaten path. As soon as you walk in, somebody would say, "Hey, what are you doing here? How can I help you?" And people don't like that. They don't want to be asked questions while they're there with a bunch of cash buying Bitcoin. They just want to do their business and leave. So these are things that you kind of, like you learn through error. And that's another reason why it's also good to get more than one machine, because you put all your eggs in one basket. Yep, you're making one mistake, and that one mistake you're now, going to have to learn from it.
But that's why we have a 3 machine minimum if we put you in touch with our locators. So if you go out and sign up your own locations, or you're a business owner and you want to get started, but we do a 3 machine minimum that way, because they're all going to start to hit at different times. And, one location can easily pay once it gets going. I mean, the margins on these things are huge, could pay for all 3 of your machines. I mean, it's nuts. But like if we're going to put you in touch with a locator and put our time into working with you, we do require a 3 machine minimum to get started, but we will get you set up. And like I said, we don't make money selling this equipment. We make money by partnering with you and seeing your success, because that is our success. Another thing I would look at when looking at locations is population density of the towns that you're in. Cities, like if it's middle of nowhere America, like I've got a location that's at the busiest gas station in a 5,000 person population, and it does great. I mean, it really does excellent, but there's not a lot of competition around me, and I'm in the biggest gas station there. But if you're in a small town and it's already got 3 Bitcoin ATMs, you might put some thought into moving it. But I think with the success of a location, if you stick, because we have a 92% success rate, meaning, we'll have to relocate out of every 100 that we place, would be just stick to the long hours, easily accessible, gas station type model, and you'll do well. And then the strong emphasis on marketing. These things can make a ton of money, 6 figures per year, but you got to put the work in. You got to market them. And I think that's going to be the bigger piece of the puzzle.
And one thing I would add on that is when you see a bunch of Bitcoin ATMs in town, that doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to have a lot of competition. You can place one of these Bitcoin ATMs right across the street from another Bitcoin ATM. And what they're doing is they're doing work to draw customers over to you. Why? Because they might have a one-way Bitcoin ATM. Well, eventually somebody's going to want to sell their Bitcoin. They're going to come across the street and they're going to use your Bitcoin ATM. And now you've got that customer. They're not going to go back. I've tested our competition software out there. The experience through our machines is superior. And so they're going to, you'll actually suck from their customer base. They're actually helping you. They're advertising across the street. Hey, there's a better Bitcoin ATM across the street. So, that don't look at it like, oh, this is a saturated market and it's too competitive. No, you are the upper competition. With our machines and software, you are the one that's top notch. You're the cream of the crop.
All right, guys. So I have some chat questions from our audience. So I'm going to rapid fire through some of these if you guys want to give some answers, so that way our audience can have some answers to their questions. But one of the first one was, when is it time to change the machine location? Like, when is it time to pull the plug?
I've got my own thought process on that, but if Keith wants to jump in, I'll let y'all know what I think about.
Well, it really boils down to how many machines you got. The more machine, like he said, one machine can pay for quite a few machines. So if a location hasn't taken off yet, you might want to just leave it there, and there's got to be a reason why it's not taking off. It's either your customer service or your marketing, and it's most likely your marketing. People don't know it exists, so it's just a matter of, okay, we got to market this harder. Now it could just be a bad location. Typically, if you're not seeing any transactions at all, after 6 months, it's a bad location, and it's just better to. I have operators pulling at the 5-month mark because they're not getting any transactions. They move it to a new location and it just starts taking off right away. And they're like, I'm so glad I didn't wait another month. And, because I'm actually seeing these transactions happen. So it's a personal decision. The more machines you have, the less likely you're probably going to be dependent upon that location being, it's got to be successful. It's got to be successful. It's a numbers game.
100%. And like Bitcoin Depot, the locators that I work with have worked with them in the past, and they'll wait up to 18 months for a location to hit. They've got like 5,000 locations nationwide, and we're looking at about 8 to 10 months. I mean, if it's not doing transactions in the first 6 months, but they could be small transactions, so we don't necessarily consider that highly profitable. But if it's doing transactions, we put in the time to build the business, and it's very important to put in the time to build the business. And that's it.
So when is it time to change, or how long does it take for machines to start producing the revenue, and what would the average revenue per machine in a good location look like?
So the first 90 to 120 days, you might not see any transactions, but you want to see some activity within the first 90 to 120 days. And it doesn't have to be off the wall activity. And the average, machine is going through about $20,000 to $40,000 a month in Bitcoin cash intake. And that's actually comes directly from Coin ATM Radar. They have a plethora of knowledge, and just, you can do a deep dive for days, hours, at night going through theirs. But $20,000 to $40,000 is about an average Bitcoin ATM per month once it's generating.
Nice. Okay. I guess I could take this next question. Someone's asking, how hard is it to get compliance? So as far as compliance goes, compliance is not difficult to get. If you're interested in getting compliance, you can contact my company, which is BTM Compliance. What we do is we help register your business with FinCEN, which Keith kind of alluded to earlier. We take you through that registration process. We custom draft an AML and a KYC program for your business. And then we just walk you through the different aspects of the business, provide you with some training, and beyond that, just help you get through some of these ancillary hurdles that you're going to have. Help you with getting a bank account, answering the compliance questions that kind of come along with that. Obviously, as you sign up for exchange accounts, there will be compliance questions that will come along with that. Our AML programs, as long as you read them from front to back, usually you can answer pretty much any of those questions confidently. But when it comes to actual compliance, it's not difficult. Let's see, what is the minimum amount of crypto equal to dollars that each machine needs to start? So if we bought one machine today, what's the amount of crypto that we really need to load?
Well, how much do you want to sell to your customers? So if you want to be able to sell $15,000 worth of Bitcoin to a customer, you have to have custody of $15,000 worth of Bitcoin. Now, one machine or 10 machines, it doesn't really matter because you'll still need $15,000 worth of Bitcoin. And so, it really boils down to, you get a feel for how much Bitcoin you need. A lot of, 30 plus machine operations, they do just fine with like 0.3 Bitcoin in their hot wallet. And that's because you don't want a lot of Bitcoin in your hot wallet. You want more US dollars on your Bitcoin exchange account. So then as the volume picks up and people are buying Bitcoin from your machines, your wallet balance will deplete and you just sweep over the Bitcoin from your exchange account to refill the tank. And so that's the process. You have to manually move the Bitcoin. And that's because exchanges don't allow for automatic withdrawals. And that's for security purposes.
So a few things I've noticed, like we have $50,000 purchase limits, right? So if somebody, like we had a customer come in and purchase 43,500 the other day, right? She's a retired NASA scientist. She's awesome. But so obviously you would need enough to cover that one transaction. Then you need to have enough cash on the exchange, which the API with ChainBytes automatically replenishes your Bitcoin. Then you got to move that Bitcoin back to your hot wallet because it's now on the exchange. So that you have to have cash on the exchange, and the cash will replenish the Bitcoin at the time of sale. So you're buying it back at the same price that you sold it for. But you have to also have enough Bitcoin to hold off on your hot wallet. Otherwise, you got to immediately transfer that Bitcoin back over. So then you got to take into account things like when you start deploying multiple machines, the cash that is sitting in the machines, what we use armored carrier service, but y'all might be doing your own cash pickups. You have to have enough, it's called float, to be able to float that cash. So if you sell $50,000 of Bitcoin to one customer, then you have to have enough Bitcoin to sell that. And then you have to have enough cash on the exchange to replenish that Bitcoin. Then you can send that Bitcoin back to your hot wallet. But now you're $50,000 shy on cash until that BTM has a cash pickup, whether it's done by you personally or done by armored carrier. And then it gets down to banking, because now you take that $50,000 in cash out of the machine. Where do you take it? So.
Awesome. Another question I got, Keith, I think this is probably best suited for you, but safety is really important. Can we insure these machines through you or a partnered company?
So we don't insure them, but there's different ways to get insurance. Now, typically what I've seen in the insurance industry is they don't know how to insure these machines. So what they do is they insure them like they're a bank ATM. They're like, okay, it's got a couple $100,000 in it. We're charging you what we charge like banks to store a lot of cash. Well, Bitcoin ATMs typically don't have a lot of cash in them. And that's because, like as soon as you make that Bitcoin sale, you want to take that cash, get it collected by armed guard service or yourself, get it through the banking industry. So it's back on exchange to buy Bitcoin. So as soon as you get a customer comes in, they buy $10,000 worth of Bitcoin, you're either you're on your way to go pick it up because there might be another customer that comes in and puts more cash in there by the time you get there, or you got armored guard scheduled to go pick it up. So it's not like a traditional ATM, but insurance industry doesn't really know that. So they're pricing insurance policies off the, you know, the bigger ATMs at banks. There is a company, and I can refer you to somebody who does for 50 or more machines, and they're very affordable. They built their entire insurance policy off Bitcoin ATMs. So they did a lot of research. I spent hours with him on the phone. He's a great guy, he's great business, but they don't deal with smaller operators. They're only focused on large operations. So they're looking for somebody like Justin. And so, you know, when it comes to smaller operations, a lot of operators do not have it insured. And it really boils down to these machines make so much money that if something happens to the machine, they don't care anyways. I mean, the hardware is actually minuscule in the grand scheme of things. It's about once you get into the operation of these machines, you're just like, I didn't buy enough Bitcoin ATMs. I need to get more Bitcoin ATMs out there, make more money, because, you know, who cares about the hardware and shipping costs? I just need to get them out.
Yes. So, and also, I believe, so I don't handle it. One of my business partners is on the call, but you could look into Marshall and Sterling. I think that's who we're using. I think it's like $60 a month-ish, something like that. And I'm not sure how many machines or quantity, but look into Marshall and Sterling. And if you reach out to us, we could give you some more information on that, Spencer, Dustin.
Okay. So let's talk about machines. Can we talk through just some of the pricing and the models?
Yeah. So I'll jump into that. So ChainBytes, you have, and there's, if you see on the screen, they use toppers. We actually don't purchase the toppers at the moment because when you open up the machine, it's bolted to the top. We'd like to be up against a wall or something. But the cost of this machine is $6,500. Then there is a shipping cost, which is almost $1,800 from DHL. Then you have a customs fee, and then you have an armored carrier lock, which is about $380, I believe. Then the cost of the wraps to wrap the machines, then the cost of installation. So if you're doing it yourself, you're probably looking at about conservatively like $9,500 or $10,000. And if you go through us, we charge $12,000 because our time is valuable. We don't make money off these machines. A lot of that goes, those resources go to us focusing on deployment, the servicing of the machines, programming, installing the armored lock, the installation, taking the time to upload it to Coin ATM radar, and all of those things that go into a project like that. So if you go through us, it's the bottom line price is about 12 grand. You're probably looking at 9 to 10,000 after shipping, customs, wraps, armored carrier lock, unless you're going to pull your own cash yourself. So installation. So that's
just to correct you on one thing. There's 6,700 for yeah.
6,700. Yeah, give or take it to it. Yeah. So. But
this is one of the reasons why you guys want to buy machines now, because they're not going to get cheaper in the future.
Yeah, inflation.
Yep, the more money they
DHL charged us $1,300 to ship them from China in the beginning, and then it went to $1,500, and now it's like almost $1,800. So I mean, it's gone up.
Yep. Better to get more machines up front than wait down the line.
Yeah, but I mean, all you need is a cash intake of $100,000 in 1 month, and you've paid for the machine and you got profit. I mean, so really deploying them and focusing on marketing and treating it like it is a business. It is an individual business is, you know, the biggest draw to me. Obviously, this fits right in with our ATMmachines.com business, but the margins, you know, just the potential. You treat it like a business, you run it professionally, and you make a lot of money.
So a chat question just came in, and they're asking, is there any opportunity for finance, or is there financing offered in order to purchase and fund the machines in order to get started?
With us, we have a small financing program, 50% down, the other 50% over 12 months, but you have to qualify. Spencer, Dustin, Renee, a few of our other people could get you information on what it takes to qualify, but there is. And again, we don't make a lot of money. We don't really make any money selling the equipment. We're just looking to get the machines out into the field so that we can build our foundation and our footprint. So it's a partnership.
Yep. And for ChainBytes, we only have financing options for operators that are operating our machines, and so you can't just have two machines for us to offer it. We have certain qualifications, and me and the team are more than happy to speak with anybody that's interested in getting into the business, and then we can talk about financing.
Okay. Justin, this question came in. I believe it's for you. Do you assign a territory, or is there like a territory of areas that people are eligible to use? Or
No, we take it at, I like the fair market approach. Like right now, you can buy a traditional cash dispensing ATM from any ATM provider and deploy it anywhere. We sell ATMs too. So, my company, I own over 600 ATMs, but I process over 2,000 others. So if somebody calls up, if they're a business owner, they want to buy a machine. So we do that. But we do not compete. We're here for your success, but we do not limit, territories like that. If somebody is a business owner that owns their own gas station in an area that you're working, and they want to buy a machine, we would sell it to them. The beautiful thing about this industry, though, is you aren't limited to your own backyard. You really got to start thinking, especially with our program. Like I believe we can operate in just over 40 states, and we can get you a list of what those are. I believe it's 44. But you can place your equipment anywhere in the country because it is fully automated. Once we place it, Armored Carrier is now picking it up. That's why we have Armored Carrier locks. We couldn't even access the cash if we wanted to. So it's fully automated. You set it, you run the marketing to it, you watch your transactions from a dashboard where you can see whether it's a cell phone, a tablet, a desktop, anywhere in the world that has internet, you just watch your revenue from there. So you're not necessarily limited to your backyard. You can put these all over the country, and it's automated because now Armored Carrier is coming through, handling the cash pickups. And even if you go your own route with Keith and their program and get set up with your own MTLs and all, you're not limited. You just have to get the certain states require money transmitter licenses. Georgia requires a payment instrument license. All the states require a no action letter. You do have to register as a foreign entity in any state that you aren't registered in. But aside from that, once you put on Armored Carrier, you're not limited to like a territory. Like you can put these things everywhere.
awesome. So can you just buy one machine, or are there limits? And this is for both of you.
Well, yeah. So we have a minimum of 2 machines. Preferably, I want it minimum of 12 machines. But we'll see how that works. Yeah, so we have a minimum of 2 machines, and that really is because we're focused on enterprise operations. So we want to be able to give our operators our undivided attention and focus on our Justins, because if we can give more attention to our Justins, they get versus he's got a bunch of machines, he's got a lot of people that are working for him, he's networking out there, versus somebody that's got one machine. It's the same amount of time. It's the same amount of time and effort. So we want to invest, like he mentioned before, we consider this a partnership. So if you're looking at one machine, Justin's a guy to talk to.
Yes, and we will sell you one machine. So if you want to get plugged in with our locators, we have a minimum of 3. That's just because the time we're going to put into working with you, the time they're going to put into working with you, and we want to see your success. So, but yeah, if you go out, you sign up your own locations, and we provide the contracts for you, and you can use these even if you start your own thing under Keith. You go sign up locations. We give away those contracts for free. So it's very easy, but you sign up a location, you can put just one machine out. But if you would like help securing locations with our third-party locators, it's a minimum of 3 machines, and we'll plug you in with them.
Okay. Justin, in your model, and this is another question from the chat, is it just basically passive income, and they don't need to do anything other than the marketing?
It's 100% passive. The only thing you have to do is your appetite for marketing, and we meet you halfway. So we highly, strongly encourage that you do Google My Business ads, and we will run them for you with your ad spend. You pick the budget through our MTL. You have to have a money transmitter license to do that. We give away the free Bitcoin, and we give you 1,000 of these brochures when you get signed up. These are only 16 cents a piece. These are countertop brochures. It's telling the customer on the front right here I'll go over it. So, replenishing these is not bad, but this is the only additional effort outside of passive. But we tell the customer, get $8 of free Bitcoin today, with this code. And then at the ATM location, it's as easy as 1, 2, 3. And it really is. I mean, these machines, you just tap it, you put in a redemption code. We're not plugged up to the internet there right now. Put in a redemption code, and then you get your free Bitcoin, right? And then on the back, we tell them, sign up to get free Bitcoin every Friday. We give away the Bitcoin on your behalf. That does not come out of you or your revenue. We tell them where to get their wallet. We recommend Trust Wallet, but also Coinbase Wallet is available when they scan this. And then we have a video where they can see how to operate, but the marketing would be everything. So the ad spend for Google My Business, the direct mailers, if you work with our direct mailing campaign company, and things of that nature would be the only other effort outside of just watching your revenue from your phone. And then your revenue comes in on the 20th day of the following month. So you get 1 ACH. So you don't have to worry about securing banking because you're not a crypto company. You're not dealing with crypto whatsoever. You're just getting a commission deposit once a month. So you can open up a bank anywhere with a business account and get your revenue and not get shut down. And I don't know if Keith has touched base on this, but one of the hardest things we ran into was securing banking. And we're in the ATM industry. Like people run into that all the time, and we know where to tell them. But then we got into the crypto space, and it's a different beast.
There's a lot to that. Yeah.
Yeah.
A whole webinar in its own self. I do have another question for you guys. Obviously, if someone owns a gas station, if they buy one, you can put it in and you're going to do everything. But can you just talk a little bit more about how they're getting paid? So they see a dashboard on your side, so they can see their transactions and revenue, and how does that process through?
All right. So with us, if the business owner is buying it directly, they will get paid just like you would get paid if you were to buy it and place a machine. They're going to get their portion of the revenue. We keep a small piece. You get the majority deposited on the 20th day of each month, the following month, and they will get access to a dashboard. Now, if you're placing the machine in that business, you're going to negotiate with them a rent, which is going to be, you want to start as low as possible. Tell them we'll give you $150 a month or $300 a month. And, if it's a big chain, a big franchise, you might get a little more aggressive with your offer. But you want to keep that rent as low as possible, and you're going to pay them monthly for that rent. Another way to structure it is telling them you'll give them a guaranteed $100 per transaction plus $100 a month guaranteed plus $5 a transaction, or a percentage of the revenue, like 10%. This is what our locators have been signing them up at. So what they've been doing is signing up a guaranteed $100 a month to the store owner to let the machine be there, plus $5 a transaction, or 10%, whichever is greater, not to exceed $3,000 a month. So 10% of your revenue, not to exceed $3,000. So there is a cap there. So everything's negotiable. It's just like the ATM business. You go in and you try to secure a good spot at the best price.
Okay.
And it's really important to have the gas station owner on board. I went into one of our competitors' customers' locations, and I asked about a Bitcoin ATM in there, and the guy he didn't care about it. He just had, the owner was like, don't care, real ATMs over there. And I've heard this from quite a few people. They run into these gas station owners that actually downsell the Bitcoin ATM. Well, what good is that if you're paying them rent for, good rent, especially for, 4 square feet of space? You gotta have them on board. So it's better just to completely avoid a place like that. If you see up front, hey, this person is just going to be bad for my Bitcoin ATM business, don't put a Bitcoin ATM in there.
But structuring your offer in a way that is like rev share, like the locators are now doing, and I very much am a fan of this one. So they're guaranteed $100 a month if you work with one of our locators. This is what they've been doing, plus $5 a transaction, or 10% of the revenue. So once it's churning, a year later, and if it's making 100, 200,000 a year, they're capped at 3,000 a month. So that's a winner, but they're invested in your success as well. So they're not going to work against you or downsell the product.
Yeah, and like you just said, so I met with a gas station owner. He had a Bitcoin ATM there, and they share 10% of the profits that come through. It was they said what 1% of or 10% of the profits. And this guy was jumping up and down to tell me how happy he is about this Bitcoin ATM and come check it out and everything. I'm like, I know I'm in the Bitcoin ATM business. He's like, no. He's like, look at how much money I made. I made $3,000 last month. That location, because that gas station owner is pointing everybody, go use the Bitcoin ATM, is doing six figures. But what's 10? And he's getting 10% of the profits. So that means that location is doing really well. But you've got a salesperson there that's willing to help people. This is how you use the Bitcoin ATM. And he's incentivized to.
Your best in-house marketing is having someone that's there that can not only support your machine, but obviously talk positive and direct customers directly to walk up and start engaging with it. That's most of the battle right there. Now,
does the gas station owner belong in the Bitcoin ATM business? I would say no. Why? Because they've got gas station to take care of. They've got, hot dogs, Slurpees, gasoline. They've got a business, and what Bitcoin ATMs are is just another product that generates revenue inside their business. It takes up too much of their time to operate that Bitcoin ATM. And that's where Justin comes into play. Yeah. If you're a gas station owner, you want to talk to Justin. He'll take care of everything for you. He'll help you build that Bitcoin ATM up into a successful business.
Yes.
Okay. Just being aware of time, we're going to go ahead and wrap this up, but I got two quick questions for you guys. The first one was from someone who was late joining our webinar, but they wanted to know if they're putting up all the cash and the Bitcoin to the machine, or if there's an option for a Bitcoin cash loader. So I believe they're talking about the float and actually putting Bitcoin into a hot wallet.
So if you plug into our program, that's exactly what we provide. We provide the entire foundation, all the compliance, the state licenses, the federal registration, the Bitcoin that is sold through your machine, the cash reserves. Like, we handle all of that in-house. So that is done for you. And if you start this business yourself, like I said, we keep a small piece of the fee that you charge. You keep the majority because it's a partnership, but we provide that for a portion of the fee. Or if you do it yourself, you would have to provide not only licenses, registrations, compliance policies, open institutional accounts, have the crypto to sell, have the armored carrier contracts, have the cash reserves on the exchanges. I mean, a lot of that goes into it, but doing it yourself, if you're going to scale it big and treat it like a business and work it full time, we keep a small fee, but it might make sense to do it all in-house if you have the time, you have the money, you have the resources to do so, and then you can negate our fee and take it all on.
Okay, awesome. Well, guys, I really appreciate you guys joining the webinar today. Any closing or final thoughts before we end this webinar? And obviously let everybody know how they can contact you too.
All right. Well, you can contact us through btmmachines.com or atmmachines.com, and we will get you set up. We will work with you. You can also contact us by reaching out to Keith at ChainBytes. He'll put you right in touch with one of us. And that's the easiest, quickest way.
Yep. And you can reach us through chainbytes.com. Either me or one of our salespeople will, gladly explain to you everything you need to know. And we will put you in touch with Justin if that's the business model you're looking to do. We did have one final question I wanted to answer here. The average amount on percentages across the United States and Canada is 14%. But what we see is more suburban areas get on the higher end. So we see our operators charging anywhere from 12 to 17%. A lot of them are doing 17%. I had one operator who's like, I'm going to start with 10%, and I'm going to take all these transactions from other operators. But that's not how it works. People that buy Bitcoin, they don't really care. They just want to see the price up front. This is what the price is. I'm putting cash in. I'm not wasting my time. And that's what they care about. So then he changed it to the higher end. He's like, okay, I'm gonna move it up to 17%. He saw more transactions. So, you know, it really boils, and some places in the country like California, we see as high as 30%. So it really depends on the demographics of the location. And, you know, give it a test, give it a try, and then you kind of figure it out from there. You don't want to shortchange yourself because you're leaving money on the table.
Okay, guys. Well, that's it. That's the webinar for today. I'm your host, Jeremy Snyder from BTM Compliance. If you're interested in talking with us about compliance or any of our compliance services, you can reach out to us through our website. It's btmcompliance.com. I hope you guys enjoyed this webinar and you found it informative. And obviously, reach out to any of our hosts today in order to ask some questions as you feel necessary. Thanks, everybody. Have a great rest of your day.
Thank you.
You too.